recently asked a friend who's just 30 what it feels like to have MS. She said that words like tired or confused really were inadequate. She asked me, have you ever traveled internationally? And then she said another friend described it in this way. Close your eyes and come along with me on this trip. Your boss calls and asks you to take a business trip tomorrow to a country you've never been to before, like Asia. You really don't feel prepared and things are rushed and hectic. You didn't have time to edit and you're unsure what you needed, so your carry-on bag is stuffed. It's heavy and it's bulky and you were late getting to the airport, so you worried the whole time that you stood in the long security lines that you'd miss your flight. This is an important and life-changing trip. You run to your gate in uncomfortable shoes and a heavy coat with your bags and are the last person to board. You're seated in a middle seat and there's no room for your bag, so you stuff it under the seat in front of you, meaning that you have no place to put your feet except on top of your bag. You're hot from running, the flight attendant welcomes everybody aboard and that the flying time is only 14 hours. And a storm is on the horizon, so there may be just some turbulence. You take a deep breath, try and settle in. Your neighbor keeps poking you with his elbow and then falls asleep on you. So much for sleep. Your tummy grumbles and you feel hungry, but you can't really eat as your knees prevent your tray table from being level. The person in front of you has their seat reclined anyway, so it's pressing on your knees the whole time. You finally arrive after the turbulence, heavy bags, crowded seat, and lack of sleep. Everyone is clamoring to get out first, so the person next to you drops their bags on your head, trying to get them out over the overhead bin. People are taking their time getting into the aisle, leaving you in an awkward position while you wait. You stuff your swollen feet into your shoes and grab your bag, which seems to have gotten heavier. You're really finally ready to get off the plane. Nothing is in English or any other language that you might understand. It's 2 in the afternoon and everyone seems to know where they're going except you. You've not slept for 36 hours, the sun is streaming in, and everything is very bright and loud. So let's have a look now at how you feel at this moment. You're so exhausted that you feel slightly nauseous and dizzy. You're confused. You don't know exactly where you are or where you need to go. You know that you'll figure it out eventually, but right now the lights are too bright and the sounds are too loud. Your legs are stiff and your feet are both tingly from falling asleep and painful from your shoes being too tight. You need to urinate badly, but don't know where the bathrooms are. You're too hot from the coat you're wearing because you don't want to carry it too. Your bag is heavy and awkward and you feel too weak to carry it. Then the strap breaks and you want to just cry. Okay, open your eyes. That moment is it. That is MS. Welcome to Revive Life. I'm your naturopathic Dr. Joelle, and today's show is about understanding multiple sclerosis, what it feels like to have it, and what we can do to support anyone who has it. Our quiz for you today is number 1. MS is commonly or can commonly begin around the age of 30. That's a question for you. Number 2, many people with MS live with minimal symptoms for years. And number 3, omega-3 fatty acids can be helpful in reducing the effects of MS. Our snacks for you today are centered around the veggie cool as a cucumber. Ever wonder how to beat the scorching summer heat? Remember humble, crunchy cucumber. This wonderful low-calorie vegetable indeed has more nutrients to offer than just water and electrolytes. The vegetable is one of the oldest cultivated crops and believed to be originating in the northern plains of India. We have cucumber canopy, which is cucumber, avocado, and silken tofu with dill and chives. We also have cucumber canopy number 2, which has cucumbers, tuna, and roasted red pepper with dill. We have cucumber canopy number 3, which has cucumber, tofu, sesame oil, soy sauce, and Thai mint. This one's an Asian version. And number 4, we've got cucumber kebab with sun-dried tomato, basil, and olive. These are all so easy, and who knew you could spin cucumbers so many different ways. It's one of the very lowest calorie vegetables, providing just 15 calories per 100 grams, contains no saturated fat or cholesterol, and cucumber peel is a good source of dietary fiber that helps to reduce constipation and offers some protection against colon cancers by eliminating toxic compounds from the gut. It also contains unique antioxidants, good in ratios such as beta-carotene and alpha-carotene, vitamin C, vitamin A, and lutein. These compounds act as protective scavengers against oxygen-derived free radicals and reactive oxygen species that play a role in aging and various disease processes, including MS. They're surprisingly high in amounts of vitamin K, and they actually provide about 17 micrograms of this vitamin per 100 grams. Why is vitamin K important? Well, it's been found to play a role in bone strength by promoting osteotrophic growth. It also has established role in the treatment of Alzheimer's disease patients by limiting neuronal damage in their brain. As we head into the break, a tip for you is on the #1 way to maintain your ability with MS. Okay, we're ready. Welcome back. We're here on Revive Life speaking about multiple sclerosis. My next tip for those with MS is to make sure that you get enough sleep. Many people with MS say that fatigue interferes with their daily lives more than any other symptom, limiting their daily ability to do things that they normally do. Make sure you schedule enough time for a good night's sleep. Go to bed and get up at about the same time every day so your body gets used to a regular sleep routine. During the day, drink at least 8 glasses of water to stay hydrated and you'll feel less tired. Pace yourself with activities and plan for breaks. Now this one doesn't apply just to people with MS, of course it applies to all of us. Our next guest is here from the MS Society and her background is in sociology. And then she has a Master's of Science in Therapeutic Recreation. She's presently the Director of Client Services, and as Director of Client Services, Laurie is responsible for overseeing the programs and services offered by the chapter. Welcome, Laurie. Thank you so much for joining us. So we were just chit-chatting a little bit before we got going here, and I'm always curious how people end up doing what they do. So share with us how you ended up becoming involved and actually having the role that you play.
Certainly. I was fortunate. I started with the MS Society back in 1983 and as a summer student. They run a summer program that provides direct services to clients and somewhat recreational based, so it was part of my background. And I was fortunate to do that for 2 summers. And then I went on and pursued a master's in therapeutic recreation in the United States. And when my husband and I returned, they were looking for a director of client services, and luckily
it was a perfect match.
It was a match.
That's great. Now, people often feel very passionate about a particular area of health or whatever it is in their lives because they have a personal connection. You were sharing also that you have a personal connection.
When I actually applied for this job, my parents informed me they were in Europe at the time, visiting family, and one of my cousins was diagnosed with MS.
Okay.
So
absolutely, that just makes you so much more passionate and really understanding of what potentially people may go through and what they might need.
Absolutely.
MS is used commonly, but potentially people might not really understand what it is. So what is MS?
So MS is a disease of the central nervous system, which is actually the brain, the spinal cord, and the optic nerve. And it's considered an autoimmune disorder where the immune system starts attacking the healthy tissue. And it's all about the myelin that surrounds the nerve. The myelin's a fatty substance, so much like the plastic coating on an electrical wire, that is being attacked and replaced with scarred tissue.
And of course, if that layer is being attacked, the body's ability to send messages would be interfered with.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's interfered, it may be slowed down, it may be intermittent, or depending on the amount of damage, the messages may not get through whatsoever.
Seems like there's a lot of conditions that are classified as autoimmune. Is there any research that you're knowledgeable about that connects it to the environment, or what do we feel is related to the autoimmune cause aspect of the MS?
Well, with MS, they do feel it's multifactorial, so they don't know what the cause is, and so, there are a number of different things that they believe contribute to this disease or the cause, but have never pinpointed it. They've looked at viral, they've looked at environmental, and then as well as genetic predisposition.
So in that they would have researched the potential of heavy metals, and I know that with bacteria they were speaking about cell walls and things like that, but again, they really just don't know, correct?
No.
Yes. Some people wonder if there is a hereditary component. So thinking about your cousin having MS, would anyone in your family be more likely to have MS because of that?
With it being my cousin, I don't believe that there would be that kind of component or consideration. With MS, they do call it, they do see that there is a genetic predisposition. So if there is a family member, a parent or a grandparent with MS, then there may be a genetic predisposition, but they've been able to rule out that it's not hereditary. And they've done that by twin studies. They've looked at twins, so if you think of twins, identical twins, they have the same DNA.
Exactly.
So if you have one twin that's diagnosed with MS, the expectation would be, if it was truly hereditary, the other twin would have MS as well, and that isn't the case.
It seems like for many of these people, they have a normal, healthy, happy life. And then what are the first changes that often may occur that might suggest that MS might be a condition that they may have?
Well, it's really hard to say exactly what the first symptoms are for individuals because it's so different for everybody. The symptoms range from, you mentioned fatigue, tingling, pins and needles. It's different for everybody. So there isn't one particular symptom that would pinpoint this is what MS is.
So then, if somebody experiences some of those early symptoms, how does the disease progress?
Well, with MS, there are 4 courses of the disease. The majority of people are diagnosed with remitting relapsing disease, so it's a gradual worsening of the disease with what's called flare-ups or exacerbations, with partial or full recovery. Other individuals may be diagnosed with primary progressive, so that's a continuing worsening of the disease. And there isn't any real flare-up necessarily, it's just a gradual worsening. And that's about 10% of the population. Then there's another group known as secondary progressive. And those individuals are really diagnosed with remitting relapsing, and then the disease turns into much more of a progressive form of the disease. And the last, which is much more rare, not nearly as common, is progressive relapsing. And it again is a progressive from the onset with clear acute exacerbations or flare-ups.
Thank you. You shared a lot of great information with us, and you're going to be back with us at the bottom of the show as well. So thank you so much for your time.
Thanks.
Coming up next, what Chinese green is loaded with antioxidants and works great in salads, smoothies, and helps alkalize the body?